Just turn on the Great. Okay. Perfect. So good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us tonight for the third and last listening session with the City Seal Task Force. I'm pleased to welcome you all on behalf of the task force. Tonight's session is in a hybrid format, in person and over Zoom. We will begin with the in-person attendees in the order that they signed up, and then we will switch to the viewers on Zoom. This is an open mic style forum for community members to share their thoughts with us. So on Zoom, participants will be called on in the order that they raise their hands using the raise hand feature on Zoom. When it's your turn, you'll be promoted to a panelist and given up to 3 minutes to speak. A timer will be running to help us stay on schedule. So just as a reminder, this is a listening session, which means that the task force will not be responding or engaging in discussion. Our role tonight is simply to listen to input. And we will end the listening session at 7 p.m. tonight. Since it's the last listening session, we will wait the whole time. And if there are still folks who haven't had the chance to speak by then, please submit your feedback to us using the public input form available on the website or by submitting written comment to any task force member. Those options remain open and welcome. We will have a timer going to keep us on track. So if you run out of time, we kindly ask that you let the next person speak. And please note that each speaker can only speak once per listening session. So thank you for being here and we're ready to begin. Are you interested in speaking tonight, sir?
No.
Okay, great. So we will start with the in-person attendees. So Annie Harris, you're first from Chestnut Street in Salem. And I'm going to start the timer, and just a heads up, the timer will be just kind of, we'll ring a really loud bell when it's up, and we couldn't really change it. It's just going to be kind of abrupt.
Okay, tell me when I should start.
Oh, go ahead.
Okay, so Annie Harris, I'm not in favor of changing the city seal because I think it honors the history of the people of Sumatra and Salem and our unique relationship, a strong relationship. But I'm not really here to speak to that tonight. I really understand from reading the meeting minutes that some feel that even well-intentioned logos and images can be harmful. So I'm very willing to listen and try to understand the point of view. So my main plea tonight is to ask that this deliberations of this committee be publicized more widely and to have more public discussion and to not rush the process. I just learned that you're cutting it off. This is the last hearing. And then instead of spending 18 months, we've only spent 8 months. And I really think that's a shame. I think you need to educate the citizens of Salem about the need for this change. And so that there are more people that are supportive of moving forward with this. But I also have a second point in that if you really want to make this change because you think the city seal is so disrespectful and that good intention does not negate impact and images can be harmful and cause distress, then I feel equally strongly about another image that the city uses very widely, and that is the witch logo. It's used on the police badges, it's used on the police cars, the fire department, the harbor masters, the city, the Salem High School, the elementary school. It's haunted happenings. It snuck into Destination Salem, and most recently, the witch cat has appeared on Salem 400. As someone who cares deeply about history, it's a travesty of justice what happened in 1692 to 21 people who were killed because they were not witches. And we make a mockery of that history by having this little witch logo and image on so much of the city public departments. As a woman, I'm also offended. A witch is always female. She's old, she's ugly, she's wicked. And to use this symbol to call ourselves witch city is deeply offensive. So if you care about bullying and mockery and being a city that's cognizant of people's feelings, I think you must include this in your discussion as you look at images and logos and what they mean to people of Salem. I think it's deeply hurtful to many, past and present, to use this witch logo. And that the city, this committee really needs to look at that if you're going to consider start changing symbols and logos. You must include this as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Anne. Sorry, it's gonna be loud. Just give me one second. You couldn't change it. Okay. There we go. Okay. Next up is Amy King from Nursery Street.
Hi, my name is Amy King. I was born in Salem, grew up in the area. I've been a homeowner in Salem for over 20 years, raised my family here, gone through public schools. My kids are very tied into the same community. I didn't prepare anything per se, which I should have. But I've watched all of the meetings on Zoom, and I've watched and listened to everyone's presentations, and what I feel like there hasn't been a lot of respect, in my opinion, to the people of Atchee. And I understand we live in a very diverse community. I love my community. And I feel like it's important to listen to everyone's point of view. However, if our symbol is portraying our connection to the Atchee's people, then we should spend some time listening and understanding how they feel they're portrayed. If they do not feel like it is disrespectful, if they have a positive tie to the seal, we should respect that and engage in more conversation about it, as opposed to putting our projection on the seal itself. I do feel like it's definitely worth a conversation, and we all have our own past and our own biases that we want to put into the conversation. But if we're talking about a seal that represents the community of people, that community of people should be represented. So, from my understanding and listening to all the bios, I don't believe there's anyone from Atchee on the committee. So I feel like we need to put that in the back of our mind and take our personal biases, but also listen to their input and be more respectful. And maybe as a community, we agree or disagree with the presentation of the city. I think it's important to listen and to understand how they feel if they feel this is a positive representation, or if they have input as to how they're going to portray them as people, then we should represent that. So I should have brought water. It's not hot. But I do feel like it's very important to be more respectful of the people that we're discussing. And if we're discussing the actions people, we need to be more respectful and hear them. And if we need to reach out and get more information, then we should do that and not rush the process because of how we as communities, some people might feel that we portrayed.
Thank you. Great, so that is the end of the people who signed up to speak. Is just checking, is there anybody else who would like to speak who's in person? Okay, great. And would you mind just sharing your name and address?
Paul Guido, 15 Pleasant Street, Salem.
Paul Guido?
Guido.
Okay, so Pleasant Street in Salem, great.
Yes.
And go ahead.
In the understanding of this, changing the seal, I wasn't born and raised in Salem. I've been here about 30 years. And I have a hard time that it's not just Salem as a whole, across the world, we're changing everything over history. We're losing history. And I don't think it's a correct thing to do. It's like Salem as a whole was born in 1626, and it developed as it became their seal, and it's who Salem is. It's who Salem has been for 250 years now, or however old we are. And it's like we become who we are, and somebody saying we're changing your name. I don't think it's proper to erase the history of our culture and our city over certain seals, certain designations, statues coming down, things of that nature. I find it, I haven't followed this immensely. My wife asked me to come down tonight. I just feel it's wrong that we're changing the course of what history has been and what we have had been as a whole, how Salem was created and designated. And at this stage of life, who are we to make a change of what history? None of us are 200 years old, and none of us formed this city and created it. We are all formed into this city by our ancestors who developed it, made everything happen, and fought and died and did everything as far as the East India heritage there with these the fishing and everything this city's become. And they created this seal, and I just don't think it's right that we have the right to change it. That's all I have to say at this moment. Thank you.
Thank you, Paul. Great, so I just one more time, anybody else in person? Okay. So we are going to switch to Zoom. One second. So to the people on Zoom, please raise your hands if you would like to speak, and I will promote you to a panelist. So it looks like we have Allison followed by Alfred to begin. Here. All right, Allison, you should be able to speak now. Go ahead.
Hi, my name is Allison Christensen. I am a Salem resident on Washington Street, but I also grew up in Salem on Buffum Street, and I spent my youth as a tour guide at the House of Seven Gables and at Pioneer Village, Salem 1630. I was a double major and got my degree in history and English literature and my master's in English literature with an emphasis on Nathaniel Hawthorne. So I'm very, very interested and supportive of the history of Salem and very supportive of the seal. I am actually really unhappy with the decision that the council has made or the task force has made to end this this review of the Salem seal in a shorter than a 18-month period. I'm very angry that you've decided to rush this review and not given ample time for historical research, gathering public input, and reviewing design options. I think that it's very sad that the task force has only 2 historians on it, and then that we're not choosing people that are either art historians or work with the Peabody Essex Museum or have more of a history and knowledge of Aceh, Indonesia, the Sumatran trade with Salem, and that I think it is very wrong to view this as something that affects the AAPI community as a whole. It's an umbrella term, and not everyone in the AAPI community is actually depicted on this seal. It is just an Achenese merchant, and we do not have anyone on the task force from Aceh. We've heard the view and the support from Achenese people to keep the seal. The governor of Aceh has asked us to keep the seal, writing not only to our mayor, but to the senators and this governor of Massachusetts. And I think it's incredibly disrespectful to the people of Aceh to act like this is an affront to them. As a member of an umbrella organization myself, I'm a lesbian in the LGBTQ community. And if there was something depicting a lesbian and the entire task force and decision makers were made up of gay men, I would be incredibly offended. And I think that this is a similar system. The AAPI is not a monolith. You cannot have people from China or Japan or Korean heritage deciding what is offensive to Indonesian people. And I think that we must keep the seal, or if we are to update it to more accurately, respectfully represent an Achenese merchant of the pepper trade in that time period.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Allison. All right, up next, we have Alfred Hawthorne. Alfred Hawthorne, go ahead.
Thank you. I'm going to take this 3 minutes to express my thoughts of the task force with my saxophone.
Alfred, we stopped hearing you. Alfred, we're only hearing very faint sounds.
Thank you.
Thank you. And can you state your street for the record?
No, thank you.
Okay.
Oh, it's so weird.
All right. Next up, we have Brett Safarian. Brett, go ahead. You should be able to speak now.
All right. My name is Brett Safarian. I'm a resident of Salem. I have a BA with honors and a master's, both in 19th century American history. In the last task force meeting, there was conversation about Professor Michael Feener not having a history degree, and he explained that Asian scholars work outside of history programs because many history programs lack Asian specialists. I have to agree with that. Many programs do have shortfalls around non-Western cultures. However, the inverse is also true. Asian programs do not provide training in U.S. history. And I was struck by this because Professor Feener argued that Americans opposed the retaliatory Sumatran expeditions, and he cited an abolitionist paper from New York. And I worry that he's cherry-picked sources leading to a dubious conclusion. The abolition movement was a tiny minority in the 1830s. Mobs regularly attacked and burned abolitionist papers. They put a noose around William Lloyd Garrison's neck. They murdered Elijah Lovejoy. In Utica, New York, the same state as his paper, a mob stopped an abolitionist from speaking, and afterwards their congressman stated he would rather see Utica suffer the fate of Sodom and Gomorrah than have an abolitionist speak in Utica. And that guy was a part of a Congress that created a gag rule in the 1830s when Congress refused to accept petitions from any citizen calling for abolition. Salem's newspapers spoke for the Sumatran expeditions. That's an unignorable fact. Historians cannot ignore a preponderance of evidence for a lone friendly source. I worry that Michael Feener is guilty of what many of us are, pretending that our ancestors were who we wish they had been, but that isn't history, however much I might also wish that. There is no evidence that Salem adopted the seal as a tribute to Aceh rather than its own economic success. Professor Feener also claims that Indonesians like the seal, although he's admitted this is not based on a survey, but anecdotal exchanges he's had after he's told people the U.S. public condemned the Sumatran expeditions. And I wonder how many of them told him, how many Indonesian people told him what he wanted to hear based on the inaccurate historical picture he presented. Finally, the 1830s isn't what's in the intent of people in the 1830s isn't what's in question. The historians is full of examples of allegedly benevolent policies causing harm, sending Africans back to Africa, dividing non-arable Native American reservations into farm plots, teaching Eastern European migrants middle-class practices despite their poverty. The Asian community of Salem, however small, says the seal harms them. In an era where masked agents drag children off the streets and the administration tries to end birthright citizenship, I would encourage the task force to listen.
Thank you. Thank you, Brett. So next up, we have Christopher Patchkey.
Also, Rahina, please remember to remove the people who've already spoken as panelists. There.
Oh, okay, yes. I thought I had. Hold on, let me just restart the timer for Christopher.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Last time I spoke on the content of the task force. This time I'd like to speak on the absolute deplorable behavior of some of the task force members, whether it's the self-proclaimed high school dropout who has attacked other members of this task force in their academic record, which is much more honorable than her own. She has also denigrated Salem residents by stating that, quote, white people of a certain class don't understand this issue. Disgusting. I'd also like to point out biased meeting minutes which censored opinions that were not shared by some of the members of this task force and lauded in a very inappropriate manner other members of the task force who presented propaganda. Finally, at least one member of the task force leaving in an absolute temper tantrum that a 2-year-old would be proud of, that was completely laced with propaganda, false equivalencies, and just an absolute bizarre display of behavior. I think Salem residents should really look at the past meetings that have occurred, honestly evaluate the members of this task force. And personally, I think, maybe half or more of this task force certainly doesn't represent anybody of any, in my opinion, intellectual quality. I think a lot of the presentations were academically bankrupt propaganda and totally shameful. And I have more comments, but I'm feeling nice this evening, so thank you.
All right, thank you, Christopher. Okay, so next up we have John. John, can you please state your name and address for the record?
Yes, actually, it comes out as John, my husband's name, John Carr, and I'm Carol Carr. We live at 7 River Street. John's a lifetime resident of Salem, and I have been here for 52 years. I've spoken before, and my husband and I both oppose the changing of the seal. I don't see any purpose in having that done, and I don't want to repeat the same things. So I'm just going to say that everything that Allison Christensen said and Mr. Patsky said are the same sentiments that my husband and I believe. I think that that seal should remain exactly as it is. Thank you.
Thank you, Carol. All right, we have someone on iPhone 2. iPhone 2, will you please state your name and address for the record?
Hello?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah, this is Dr. Harry Ackerman coming to you from Iceland this evening. I sit here and I listen to several people with some really interesting banters and thoughts on this. And I think what comes to my mind mostly is, this is, an object on a flag, on a seal, right? It's been around a long time. And I'm really not certain that you could put anything on a seal in today's age that would not offend somebody in some way, shape, or form. Whether it's a color, an animal, maybe like a, made in Japan Seiko watch, You know, maybe a Swiss person in Salem would be upset that there's not a made in Switzerland watch on the seal. So with that said, I also am very concerned about, you know, the city of Salem claims essentially to have no money. We have some of the worst streets. We can't seem to take care of very basic things based on funding. My understanding from recent discussions in the city hall is that's getting worse and worse, but they'll probably hire 20 more city planners or something along the way. But in any event, you know, the cost to change something like this, when you think of all the trucks, cars, seals, garbage cans, right? That's hundreds of thousands of dollars that we don't have. And why? What's the sense in this? Because frankly, if another city seal comes up with, you know, I don't know, whatever it might be, we're going to likely have somebody else file a similar complaint and have a grievance with it. I'm not really sure what the actual grievance is. I've studied the seal. I'm not a historian. I actually think that it's an interesting looking figure. And I have, you know, personally, I think I would agree with, you know, maybe, you know, I'll just claim ignorance because I don't know if there's some kind of insult here, is what I gather, that maybe 2 or 3 residents have some kind of problem with this. And my thoughts are for those folks that, you know, don't like it, you know, you should stand up for what you believe. But at some point, I think you have to also recognize, you know, you're in the United States of America. If you don't like it, you know, maybe you ought to consider, you know, not rallying, you know, these committees to hire people to ultimately change something when you can just go someplace else that maybe doesn't have that seal. Is not to sound cruel, but that's kind of how I feel. But in any event, live from Breivik, Iceland tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay,
Regina, we weren't able to start the timer the last time and then, yeah, there's up.
yeah, I
Definitely
noticed
have
it's
issues.
too late. I thought, yeah. It's okay. Miyabe Shields is up next, and Miyabe, can you please just share your address for the record? Miyabe, can you hear us? Miyabe? Yeah, but the next person is Christopher who already spoke. Okay. Okay, Miyabe, are you here? Can you hear us? Okay, so Miyabe raised their hand and then lowered their hand, so, I don't see anybody else on Zoom with a raised hand, but I see a lot of names, so if you would like to speak and you're on Zoom, please raise your hand, so I know you're interested in sharing your input. Oh, let's try Miyabe.
Hi, did it work? Did it work this time?
Yes, it worked.
Okay, awesome. Sorry, I'm on my phone. Hi, I'm Dr. Miyabi Shields. I live at 469 Loring Avenue in Salem, Massachusetts. And I want to speak in favor of changing the seal, but I also just want to say that I think that some of the tone and language and response that's happened in the city has been really troubling. And I also don't appreciate the perspective of people speaking for our community. And when it comes to social justice and minority rights, it doesn't actually make sense to be thinking about the majority. And when it comes to something about Salem residents and the Asian American perspective, it's something that I think has been handled really poorly and reflects really poorly on the city. And I don't mean to be pointing fingers at any one person specifically, but people are making personal comments, and I don't think that that is the way that this should be handled. We can have differing opinions on this. We can have differing opinions on how we feel the colonial perspective has gone. And we clearly live different lives in how this has affected us personally. And the reason why I'm in support of changing the seal is because this is part of a larger movement that isn't just within here in Salem. This is a part of just a perspective change of how we should be representing minorities, of how minority perspectives should be taken in the context of greater American culture. And I think that I'm troubled by some of the things that have been said too in the meetings, but I don't think that when it comes to like making individual public remarks about people's personal histories that's acceptable. And I think that I'm in favor of changing the seal. And I don't think that that means that everything has to be changed immediately or that it's going to cost hundreds of thousands of dollars. Things get decommissioned all the time and get changed over all the time. Like there's a regular timeline for things to be replaced. And that can be something that happens and has happened in other cities. There are ways in which this can happen where it happens in a normal way to replace the things that need to be replaced within a city. So I think that some of the issues that are coming up about changing the seal are things that can be addressed by city council in the future. They're things that don't have to be decisions made immediately, and that the decision at hand is just whether or not we're deciding to evaluate history, look at it and say, okay, the colonial perspective was written by the winners. History is always written by the winners. And we have had the ability now to look at that and look at how we're representing Salem from now on and moving into the future. And I just want to say that I'm in support of changing the seal and that I do feel like the public response that has happened since then is, I don't think it reflects well upon Salem, and I don't think it is a reflection of Salem. And I hope that we can do better.
Thank you, Ms. Rocky. Okay. Next up, we have Anne. Anne, can you please state your name and address for the record? Anne, we can't hear you. Anne, you're unmuted, but we can't hear you. And I'm not sure if we can come back to you, but we still can't hear you. Okay, so I'm gonna go to the next person, Anne, and just raise your hand again and we'll try again. Okay, so we're moving on to Flora. Flora, please state your name and address for the record and we can start your countdown.
Flora Tonthat, 30 Northeast Street.
Okay, go ahead.
I am in favor of changing the seal as an, AAPI person. I feel like the people who have spoke out against changing the seal should really go look at the presentations, because to speak without all the work that's been done, that's been presented, especially that by a very highly credentialed historian, such as Erica Lee, is, it's just like, I'm just feeling this, reacting. It's not based on real documented history. And as Erica Lee said, the history of Salem with Sumatra was very violent. It was very violent. It was, actually the very first and second the punitive expeditions to Sumatra was the show of American military might in Asia for the very first and for the very second time. And that history is what is associated with the Salem city seal. So, and as was said, it's really not about Sumatrans, about, you know, putting them in any good light. It was about the economic prosperity of the merchants, and that they'd want their spice consumers to feel good about their pepper or their other spices. And it's not, so anybody that is against, I really encourage them to really go and take a look at the work, the real historical research, scholarly research that was done by a Harvard historian who has testified in front of Congress, who has been, you know, commentaries on numerous occasions, who has written many books on American history, on Asian American history, and just, you know, really understand the actual history, you know, before you just go with your reactionary feelings. Thank you.
Thank you, Flora. Okay, so I don't see any more raised hands. Oh, just check. Justin just raised his hand. Okay. Justin, go ahead. Please state your name and address.
Justin Whittier, 10 River Street. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes.
All right, Justin Whittier, 10 River Street. I was not going to bother to speak up because I've spoken many times and I've written a lot, and I know it doesn't make any difference to the majority view. I did want to speak up for Professor Feener and VJ Joyce, frankly, who I think have been badly mistreated by the majority. But Professor Feener in particular has joined this task force to offer his expertise, to get up in the wee hours of the morning to join, in fact. And what he's gotten in return is quite a lot of abuse, questioning of his credentials. And that's really undeserved, and it's really beneath, or it should be beneath, everybody on the task force. So I wanted to register that first and thank him for being willing to join and offer the history. You know, I have written so much about this task force and so many of the factual arguments that, if I'm honest, I really have no desire to get into it all again. But I just want people listening out there to know that the majority of this task force doesn't care about the history. They were selected for this task force precisely because they decided from the beginning that it was racist and needed to change. So no arguments about the history and the relevant facts will move them. Instead, this is all about their feelings and their reaction to it. And we've heard it expressed again tonight, the sense that there is something racist about this, or that it conjures up racist images and emotions and whatnot. And we've had things dredged up by Professor Barnes, you know, from children's books from the 1800s and from museums and things like that. But that is not what the Salem Seal is about. It is commemorating the intrepidity and the daring, the enterprise of Salem merchants and their respectful interaction with the people a world away. And this, in the early 1800s, that is something to celebrate, something to emulate. That is something aspirational even today. And we do such a disservice to our history, to our forebears, and to Salem as we are now, to not understand that and to consider effacing that and changing it for modern political reasons. So that's all I want to say. And if, as I'm sure this does, your recommendation will be to change it, then we, the people of Salem, are going to get a ballot measure on there to defeat it because it's wrong. Thank you very much.
Yes. Going back to people on Zoom, any other person who wishes to speak? And, thank you, do you? And, if you're interested in speaking again, do you want to raise your hand? Yes. And can you hear us? We can't hear her. All right, if any other person would like to speak, please raise your hand. And going back to people in the room, anybody in the room?
You ask a question?
Pardon? Yeah, go ahead.
Where are the sources with Erica Lee and Professor Feener that one could take a look at? I didn't see it on the website.
So the presentation for Erica Lee is in the recordings. And what was the other thing?
I also said Professor Feener also did some research.
Oh, yes, it's all in the recordings of the meetings and it should also be captured in the meeting minutes.
I didn't see it in the meeting minutes, but
References and all the direct text in the public shared drive. So you should be able to get them through the task force website.
we can't get access to the public drive, that information, right?
It should be accessible. We'll talk about it. We'll make sure you have
Yeah,
access
if you
to
go
it.
to the city still task force page, there will be.
Yeah, it's on,
It's a place to see the research sources.
You should be able to. I think most.
Yeah.
It's on. Most-
Yeah, I put all my references and all the direct quotes in there in a PowerPoint slide presentation. So VJ as well. So you should be able to get those there.
so you go.
If not, please feel free to contact me. I'm happy to send a copy.
Yeah, so this QR code right there takes you to our website.
Right.
And then there's the agendas and minutes, but if
Yeah.
you scroll all the way down, you can also see the recorded meetings and the public drive, and you can find all of the materials on there.
And it's task force materials.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
All
so
right.
if you want to take
Thanks.
that,
That was not obvious.
yeah. Going back to the Zoom, I see somebody raised their hand. So,
I think that person's already spoken, was it?
oh, we did have an iPhone 2 speak, but I'm not certain that it's the same iPhone 2, so maybe we can just check. Okay. Hi, iPhone 2, is this the same person who spoke before?
This is Dr. Ackerman. I just have one question. I did speak before. So is there going to be another task force if this seal becomes changed to who will decide on what the next seal is? So I'd like to look at this some more. I find it quite intriguing.
We can't really speak to that. That would be up to the city council.
So the city council would be the people that decide.
Yes.
Okay. No, public won't have any input, or they would.
I mean, you can certainly speak to your counselors, your representatives, so it's, yes, the public can certainly have an opinion in that way.
I see. Okay. Very good. Thank you.
Thanks.
I also just wanted to add, September 15th recording is the one with Professor Feener and September 29th was the recording with Professor Agali.
Annie, did you get that?
Actually, it was, thank you, Aditi.
Sorry,
And the
October.
one about the one about the Salem sale, yeah, is October 7th.
October 7th.
So there are no minutes for that yet.
I think I uploaded them this morning, maybe.
That's what we know.
They uploaded some minutes this morning. I can't remember which ones. All right, so we have 14 minutes left, so we're just gonna stay on until 7. So again, if you're on Zoom and you would like to raise your hand, please do so. And if you're in the room and you would like to speak, please feel free to do so anytime.
Did I clear something up, Rahina?
No, we're not responding, Suzanne, so please hold any comments or discussion for the meeting itself. We can talk about nothing on the agenda or
Okay.
coming, and we can't respond to comments.
Can I share this with you? This is what I thought we should.
Yeah, sure.
You look at
We'll
one, you
take it
should look at
as-
the other.
We can certainly share this
I
as,
mean. this is horrible.
do you want to submit this as public input or like
Sure.
to
I
share it
mean-
on the drive?
I mean, if we're going to take up this issue, to me, it's equally important.
Can I ask what this is that's being shared? I can't see it from here.
Yeah, hold on,
It's, I think, no, where is?
it's way over there, so. But I think I need. Oh. that one. There we go.
Oh, you got two right here, thank you. There's 2 pages, so maybe each got one.
They're actually two
Oh, they
different
look
ones.
different too? I think they are. Yeah. Yeah.
It's just incredible how pervasive.
I'm just grabbing a few minutes. Yeah, please, go ahead. Mhm. Oh, is that one different?
A little bit different, yeah.
Well, there-
Two different.
Here's another one. This is front and back.
Oh, it's front and back. Oh.
So those are two.
I see.
separate-
Oh, I see, yeah, thank you.
Yes. And are you here for the listening session for the task force?
Oh, no.
Oh, the
Oh, this is-
the public, the Board of Health meeting, you mean?
Yes.
It's actually right next door.
Okay, thank
Yeah.
you. That's really.
Yeah, if anybody's here for the Board of Health meeting, it's over there.
So, to give up. Yeah. So we're going to find and see the deals. It's new drives, amazing as well. It's the joke. I don't film this.
That's what this little thing back there, like drawing more pop. I wonder what that guy must have been describing to someone. Pretty sure I wasn't running a football school.
Any more to call them?
This was my idea. I'm going over here. I need to remember this idea.
Scheduled this on the 7th, so if anybody else shows up.
Or trace the right?
Not a listening session, but we are still accepting written comments, so if you want to share this with anybody, please feel free. And here's my business card. If you send us an email, I'll share it with the entire task force.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks.
Well, Christopher raised his hand again. Christopher, I'm gonna allow you to speak one more time, but just limit your comments to a question. So just give me 1 second. Go ahead, Christopher.
No worries, and just to be clear, you can't violate somebody's First Amendment rights by allowing one person to speak twice, but preventing others to speak. That needs to stop. My question is, the alternate members clearly showed bias in their cover letters to the mayor's office with a predetermined idea of what the seal was. I would like to ask every task force member to make their cover letters to the mayor public so that we can see how this task force was biased before it met for the very first time. That would at least restore some level of integrity to some of the people that are on this task force. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Can I ask one more question?
What'd you say?
Can I ask another question?
Sure, go ahead.
Just about the information here, it says between when and how, between now and September 2026. This task force invites the city to take part in a shared learning process. But I understand there's a new date. What is the new deadline or by when people have to submit information to?
October 20th, which is our next meeting. So Monday.
Next week, Monday, and then it's cut off and no more comments after that?
Well, it depends on the vote. We'll take a vote as a task force on that date.
The vote is only task force, not.
Yes. So yeah, it's up to the task force.
So the vote is next Monday.
Yeah, the vote is next Monday. And the agenda will be posted Thursday.
We changed on the website to tell people that they need to get their comments in there.
Yes, I think we've updated some of the input. I'll make sure it's reflected.
I just don't think people time frame is so short.
Yeah, that's a good thing. I'll make sure it's not that.
And most people think it's gonna be another year.
All right. And again, anybody on Zoom, if you would like to share your input on the city seal, please raise your hand and I will allow you to speak. Okay. Aramida, just 1 second. Aramida, go ahead. You're promoted to speaker.
Hello, I'm Era. I'm a Chinese basically, and I would like to say thank you for the task force to give an opportunity for us, the Chinese, to speak in the last session. Even though it wasn't really welcome, but it's really a good chance for, I think, the people there to hear what the Chinese thought about the change of the Salem city seal. So I do believe that uh, the leader of that Salem at that time decided to choose the seal for the purpose. I mean, like 330 years ago, they can decided to choose to present the colonialism or superiority of the white people, but they choose someone from Aceh as the symbols of the friendship. So I think this is something that the Salem people think as something that need to be preserved. Instead of changing it, I think this will be a good time for use the seal as the tool for educate the future generations about the history of Salem's. Because that some things represent a friendship symbol instead of the racism that some people maybe thought this is can lead to the racism. Especially for me as a Muslim I'm living in Japan now. It's very clear I experience many racism and Islamic phobia, but doesn't mean that I have to replace my hijab only because of people doesn't like to see it. Maybe because of lack of understanding about the differences. So in this point, I would like to say thank you, and also if the Salem City Council can preserve that, that will be bring more
Did we lose the feed?
Yeah, I don't know what happened, but we just stopped hearing.
Hello?
Hello, Era. Well, if Era comes back, we can allow her to speak. Flora, you have already spoken, so
Can I ask a question?
yes, go ahead.
I just like to know if Era is affiliated with Professor Feener, along with the dozen or so Chinese that he brought in, which even taken into consideration, all of them would be a drop in the bucket. I mean, it's just like, it's not like out of the millions, but there has been other Acehs that have spoken for changing the seal.
Thanks, Flora. I don't think we're gonna respond to that.
Okay.
Thank you.
That was a question for her, but okay. Thanks.
Well, but we're not asking each other questions like that. Thank you. Okay, so it is now 7 p.m. So we can motion to adjourn because I don't see any new hands on Zoom. So, and I don't see any further people in person, right?
We have one new hand. However, they've already asked a question and made a comment before, so I don't know what to do with that.
I'm gonna assume it's the same person. I don't.
Yeah, it has been the same person. There's no new people who joined.
Been looking at it 2 months, so I'm gonna, yeah. All right, so I think that concludes the listening session for tonight. May I get a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
May I get a second? Okay, seconded by BJ. All those in favor, raise hands. Okay, great. So that concludes our listening session for tonight. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you all. Appreciate it. Thanks all.